Revisited Borderlands 2 in 2026. Well, actually 2025, but these videos take a while to produce, so I'm only writing this and recording everything like now. And it's still an incredibly solid game. For some context, Borderlands 2 is a loot shooter and sequel to Borderlands the original, and released on quite literally every possible console at the time. Set on Pandora like the first game, you play as one of 4 or 6 with the DLC Vault Hunters, which have varying abilities from a turret, a siren who lifts people off the ground, a ninja, and a nutcase with gunfire. The other DLC characters are a robot summoner and a psycho who beats people to death with an axe. I've played through the game twice, one as Maya the Siren and another as Axton the Commando, and so I've had a kind of variety of gameplay doing this whole thing multiple times. A key part of it is how looter shooter and RPG style games drew inspiration from this, so kind of like Destiny's like skill and action system. I do need to make a Destiny 1 video because I love it. So just in terms of critical reception, the game did quite well. It got generally above an 8 out of 10 besides the PS Vita and VR versions, which didn't do particularly well, and it got 7 awards. 2 of which were for Claptrap's voice acting for some reason, and 2 for Handsome Jack's. The game also became a lot of background footage for YouTubers like me, kind of. The game also has an eye-watering amount of DLC and add-on content, but just look out for Pandora's box. I think I own Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, both base games, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which isn't on there, and it cost, I got it on sale for like 75% off, and it was maybe £25 for the entire franchise, so just wait for a sale. I'm going to go through some aspects of the game, like the gameplay and features, as well as a bit on the story, although it's going to be very light due to time constraints and just having a brief memory on it, and my overall opinion. It's probably going to be relatively short, just, time constraints. And I'm also going to have to unpack the DLC into either the same or separate videos in order to take a look at them. Some of them are larger, and one is straight up a whole game that they released as a whole separate thing, so my 100% run's going to have to include me going through all of it again. That's going to be its whole own thing though, and we should probably get into the game itself rather than me nattering gameplay. In terms of gameplay, the first thing to talk about is the actual game mode that you select. So the game has 3 of them. The first one is normal mode, where that's how you first complete the game. The second is True Vault Hunter mode, which you need to complete the game first, and among other things has increased enemy health, elemental efficiency, so if you do use wrong element type weapons against certain enemies, they're more resistant, new enemies which are higher level variants of the normal ones, and just more badasses. But there is better loot, better XP, and more level scaling to level 50. The third mode is Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, which is only in Borderlands 2, the pre-sequel, and replaces True Vault Hunter in Borderlands 4. In Borderlands 2's version, enemies scale above the highest player level, so they will always scale even at max level 80. They also continue to raise drop rates and have increased ammo, as well as enemies getting even more health and more health regeneration. Very fun. The gameplay is somewhat standard FPS experience, all things considered. You have guns which shoot mostly bullets, and they all kill people. The guns range from pretty standard shoot until dead pistols to explosive shotguns that shoot swords. The types of weapons are those of pistols, submachine guns, shotguns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, and rocket launchers. There are also rarities, which again it becomes a common trope in other shooter RPG games, where you have commons which are grey, uncommons at green, rare at blue, epic at purple, and legendary at gold, which generally speaking they're varying levels of use at higher levels. If you're going into a higher level, so say 75, and you have a level 73 legendary weapon, it might be more effective than a level 75 common weapon, but This, however, is also joined by pearlescent weapons, which are only in Ultimate Vault Hunter upgrade packs, and you need that DLC to access them, and they are extra shiny weapons for Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, because that is just a whole other difficulty spike. These weapons also have a chance of being assigned an element, as well as all the rarity levels, all of which are used for different things, and they have different effects, although the legendary ones do have set elemental types, or only can be certain elemental types depending on what it is. The base damage is non-elemental, it's just physical, which is just flat rate damage against all health types besides armor. Then there's explosive, which doesn't deal any kind of damage over time effect, but just has splash damage because, explosions. The next is incendiary, which deals extra health damage, so red damage. but less against shields and armor, as well as it has a damage over time effect which can be triggered when someone's hit with it on a chance, it's not guaranteed. Similarly, Shock, which does a similar thing to shields, but it doesn't have any downsides, and Corrosive, which is increased to armoured enemies like Robot. The final effect is Slag, which is unique to Borderlands 2 and doesn't appear in any of the other games. All it does is increases damage that other elemental types do. So if you have a sidearm which has Slag on it, you hit someone with Slag effect, and then you hit them with a flame, corrosive, or shock weapon, it will do increased amounts of damage. It's good for an elemental build to kind of just increase your damage. These are all used in combination with action skills, which are based on your character, and it's the thing that actually makes them unique to everyone else. They're upgraded through your character skill tree and they can be boosted, but most of the time what happens is you increase the amount of damage they do, how long they last, or a unique thing. So I'll just briefly go through all of them. I have very limited footage on some of them because I've not played the game with very many of them. For the DLC ones, this was my first time using them, but yeah. So Axton's special ability is that of the Saber Turret, which sticks to anything with the right upgrades and functions because it gives just another thing to shoot at for any enemies, and it helps to deal some damage before it times out or gets killed. I gave mine a shield and made it stick to walls, and I made it so I could have two. So, as that was a multiplayer playthrough, it had a lot more utility and was a very good distraction. Maya's ability is just being able to pull people off the ground into the air in an orb, which has a variety of upgrades like dragging people towards it, dealing elemental damage, and they can also cause mind control if you unlock that. There's a few different options. I played with this alongside a perk that has a cloud of corrosive gas when you hit a crit. I think it's a crit or just a regular hit, which was really stupidly effective against robots. So I would just grab one in the air, hit it, everyone would get dragged towards it, and then they would take massive corrosive damage. Salvador's action skill is his ability to go gunzerk, which means he pulls out another weapon, which is the next one in your loadout, heals up to max health, gets free damage reduction, and constantly regenerates ammo and health. As you can guess, it's perfect for tanking, throwing lead downrange, just whatever needs turning into a fine paste at the end of it, it's good for that. Zero is the final base game action skill and character, and he can vanish, spawn a decoy, and it distracts enemies, so they are focused on that. You run around the back, hit them in the back. It's great for high crits, maxing out damage against the enemy. When I did this testing footage that you can see, it was all you would one hit pretty much, unless it was a higher rank enemy, but yeah. The first character added by the DLC is Gage, who summons her robot D374-TP, aka Death Trap. It also upgrades things like the robot's melee damage, explosive attacks, elemental damage, and it can also restore you and your ally's shield. I've honestly not got much experience with her outside the footage, so I can't really comment too much. The last character and the second DLC character is Krieg, who goes on rampages just with his buzz axe, and it gives him increase in melee damage and movement speed. Can also regenerate health completely when you kill someone, and it also has really cool range damage by just throwing the axe at people. In short, you get to play as the badass psychos that exist in the games. You upgrade these skills through earning skill points, which are put into 3 different trees depending on who you're playing. They generally go by the idea of more shields, more weapon damage, or more action skill or multiplayer utility. These are what leads to special upgrades like throwing 2 turrets as Axton, as these need a good amount of investment to get the full worth. So my level 31 Axton only reached the end of his skill tree after I entered True Vault Hunter mode, and my Maya, I did get her out of that, but I've been playing through the DLC on that character. Getting all the footage of this actually inspired me to the other characters, as I only played Axton and Maya, so I'm actually going to go back and play through Zero and Gage. I found them to be quite interesting, so I'll probably go and do more playthroughs. Overall though, if I had to kind of order them, Salvador probably comes last, then Krieg, Maya, Gage, Axton, then Zero. Purely down to my either 5 minutes of experience, which is all the background footage, it's me just going and recording footage for it. But which way it's like the same place, because I've got to the level 5 requirement for all the characters that I needed to, and then just did through the next 5-10 minutes of the game, or finishing the main story with them, which is what happened for Maya and Axton. Another part of the gameplay that I honestly completely forgot about is vehicles, which there are 2. You have light runners, which are light vehicles with 2 seats, and technicals, which are trucks with 4. And they can probably seat the entire multiplayer lobby, which is 4 people. There are more from the DLC in the Captain Scarlet DLC and the Big Game Hunt DLC, but as I haven't had a chance to play those yet, I'll address them another time when I do the DLC. The Light Runner and Bandit Technical can be customised similarly to how the player character has, with their own paint jobs and weapons. Both come with a machine gun, but the Light Runner can equip a secondary machine gun or rocket launcher in a secondary slot, which, if you're in multiplayer, a player can jump into that and control it like a turret. And a Bandit Technical can use either a blade launcher, which shoots saw blades, or a barrel launcher, which is just explosive barrels. I probably prefer the Technical out of the two, just because it's got wider arc on the explosives and it causes more splash damage, and also just a catapult is cool. But yeah, in basic terms, that's how the game functions and how to shoot, explode, bulldoze, or otherwise just eviscerate the various baboons that you can encounter. Speaking of which, I should probably actually talk about those, so I think I will. As a quick aside, something that I actually forgot about when writing the script was shields, grenades, and class mods. So, shields basically function the same way as health does, except they will regenerate. Health doesn't naturally regenerate, but shields do. And also, when it comes to the shields, they will have special effects. They have the same rarity system as the weapon system, so you will find that you have legendary shields, common shields, blue shields, so on and so forth. And they all have varying effects. So some of them might have a special effect, so they might have like an explosion or something whenever the shield runs out, or something similar. It just gives them a little bit more pizzazz considering that they're legendary, but the greys and commons tend to not have this kind of thing, which can be annoying or it can be good, depends if you like effects or not. Grenade mods are, again, they just modify your grenade, so they make your grenade more effective. So they have the same legendary, all of the stuff basically has the legendary, common, rare, rarity system, and they all function the same way, so they have special effects, usually anything above epic and that kind of thing. So for example, legendary ones, the one that I picked up before doing some of this footage that I did for the characters, it would throw a grenade and split off into 10 smaller grenades. That's a legendary effect, and things like that. Class mods are things that boost specific skills about your character, so usually they will boost. So for Axton, they might give his turret more health, or more duration, and that kind of thing. They boost specific aspects of the character, and they also come with a couple modifiers of just like pistol reload speed, sniper rifle crit damage. They'll come with a couple random modifiers thrown on top, and they are farmable. So I remember in Borderlands 3, I spent way too long farming. I'm trying to avoid comparisons. Artifacts are again different, they are a bit more complicated. So for artifacts you might have, there's one which increases the burn speed on the boosts for the vehicles. There's one that increases teammate reload speed, there's one that increases like your assault rifle damage, and they have all sorts of random effects, and again they are a bit specific to class sometimes, but they don't always have to be. There isn't, as far as I know, an anointment system for weapons and such like there is in Borderlands 3, but actually no, there isn't, because I haven't seen it. I've played this game for like 70 hours, it's my second most played Borderlands game next to 3 because of grinding. And yeah, but anyway, back to what I was saying before, let's go look at the various unwashed baboons that I need to kill. So, the main enemy factions in this game are relatively simple to understand. You have raiders, organised into psychos, tings, a word I can't say on YouTube, Goliaths and marauders. The Hyperion robots, made up of loaders, hot loaders, EMPs and bull loaders, and the bugs, which are made up of spider ants, bullymongs, varkids, threshers, rags, stalkers, chrysalisks, and skags. At least in the base game, there's even more in the DLC, but I'm not getting into that. These all come in badass varieties and are generally speaking vulnerable to different things. All Hyperion robots have yellow health, they're vulnerable to corrosive as a result, and sometimes they do have other stuff going on, so they might have shields. Raiders normally have red health and can also have shields, which that's only usually badasses or marauders. Goliaths, however, are tricky. If you headshot them and knock off their helmets, they go into raging mode, which go from regular to badass, super badass, ultimate badass, and Goliath. You actually get an achievement for killing them at Goliath level. You can hit this for crit damage once you knock the helmet off, but it's a lot harder given how small the hitbox is on it, and that Borderlands 2 has kind of iffy hitbox detection. The final category is just the beasts, which generally have red health but also have nasty mutations, so threshers are the ones that cause me the most issues. I hate them. They're effectively worm-like creatures that I'll probably have footage of in the background that do a variety of things like throwing tentacles everywhere, dragging you towards them in a wormhole. Everything fun. Needless to say, I love fire and explosives, I hate bugs, I kill them with fire. But anyways, that's all the mobs pretty much wants to talk about, and so we'll get into a extremely brief story recap, and by extension some of the bosses, just because of, again, time constraints. Fun. So the story of Borderlands 2 starts out very simple. You're a vault hunter trying to find the Great Vault. It's rumoured to be on Pandora. Over this finding, you encounter people like Lilith, Roland, Brick, Mordecai, you know, the main characters of the last game, as well as an enemy in the form of Handsome Jack, who is the primary antagonist. You do encounter many other bosses, such as Knuckle Dragger, a bullymong that does everyone a favour and blinds Claptrap temporarily, although I do wish it ripped out his vocal processor instead. Bloodwing, Mordecai's bird from the original Borderlands, was converted into a murder weapon, and the Warden, a robotic guardian into Handsome Jack's train. There's also the Bunker, another guardian for Handsome Jack's stuff. He has a lot of robots. He kind of runs Hyperion, which is the whole robot company, and they're seen as like the big bad in this game. They keep shooting a giant laser at Pandora to try and mine for Iridium. I'm being extremely brief because this is on a time crunch. Time of recording, it's 2 days late already, and I'm writing this all out as I don't want to put it off longer. I'll probably make a follow-up video on this, as I'm already planning to make a Borderlands 3 one, and we'll probably make a follow-up related to this one. Again, it's running late, I don't have time to properly summarize, so story recaps in order, to which I'll add to this, but I can remember what I liked, so I'll comment on it. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. It was fun, it was serious at times, but it did know when to hold back on the comedy and when to hold a kind of somber moment and not overplay the jokes, because as much as they do have joke characters like Claptrap, they know when to hold those characters back and make them a bit more serious, which is always a good thing. Having that kind of narrative ability to pull back the inherent comedy and just let a serious moment sit is extremely important, especially in games like this where the comedy is usually laced in very heavily. It's part of what I think makes Borderlands 3's story a bit weaker, because they kind of go a bit too far into the kind of zany comedy of it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that there for now. Like I said, I'll do another recap, and I think I'll just leave it to an outro. And yeah, I mean, that's all I've, well, not wanted to cover, but all I've been able to cover, so I'm realistically just gonna recap. So, guns, explosions, murder, Handsome Jack, kill things, do things, make sure to not kill Claptrap while you're at it as much as you want to, because sadly he's immortal. And yeah, the story again, overall pretty solid, enjoyable. The one complaint I do have is about the kind of hitboxes. They are terrible. The crit hit is absolutely awful compared to the future games. Even pre-sequel I think has cleaner hitboxing, just because they've had time to perfect it between Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel. But yeah, there's not really much else to say, to be honest. Everything I want to talk about I've kind of covered. I mean, a lot of it was just surmising what's my opinion on the overall game. I do think that the drop rate for legendary weapons could be a bit higher, to be honest. I mean, I understand that's the appeal of the Vault Hunter modes, but the drop, I think I've got 3 legendaries through 2 playthroughs, just playing the game outside of guaranteed ones. It could do with a bit of a tweak on drop rates. The gameplay, again, hitboxes, the physics on the vehicles is also not amazing, because it's one of those games where you push W and you control with the mouse. It's something that I don't particularly like. I know the person that I played this with, my friend, didn't like it either, but he just had to cope because we were playing through the entire franchise from Borderlands 2 up until Tiny Tina's Wonderland, because I can't play Borderlands 4 because I think my computer might explode if I do. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm sorry how brief this has been. Again, I will expand on, I'll most likely make a full story recap, stitch it into this video, and then I'll just chuck the entire thing up and I'll re-upload it as a whole separate thing. But anyway, thank you for watching, giving me your time. I will see you in the next one.